happening, folks? How we doing? My dog is wound up tonight, so don't mind her. Let's show her. She's right here, right there. Rich, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Hey, we got the grandson over here too, so he may make an appearance before the show's over anyway.
Right, we need to get him a headset so he can hear what I'm saying. We need to get him AirPods or whatever you got to get him, but that way he can
Yeah, you're
hear and
right.
respond.
Yeah, you're right. It's really funny because he was in here earlier playing with my microphone that I have that I used to record commercials and that,
Right?
and he was just talking away into it. He was saying hi to everybody, and it was just like he was doing our thing. I was like, oh man, this guy,
You got
he's
to
gonna
start.
have radio in him.
You got to start him young. Whatever you do, you got to start him young. Um, everyone viewing, welcome to the show. Eventually, we'll get to the Steelers. Eventually, we're
Yeah.
driving to the
Well,
top
hey,
productions tonight on Twitter, on YouTube, Sports Talking It, and Rich is at Go Big or Go Home Pod. Yeah, so that's how we're rolling tonight, kids. If you want to leave a comment, leave a comment. If you want to come on and bullshit about the Steelers with us, leave me a comment. I will send you a link. I'm open mic tonight. Why not? Why not, Rich? Why not? It's good to hear
hey,
people's opinions.
yeah. I mean, it's like I always say whenever I put the feed up on my Facebook, which is under my name, Rich Richardson, or on my Twitter account, that we start out Steelers and Pirates. God
Usually,
knows where we're going to end up. We've had nights we finished up with barbecue or baseball, cuff baseball or whatever. So yeah, I mean, hey, jump in. You know, um, if folks could just hear some of the stuff we talk about before we come on the air, some of that stuff's funnier than what happens when we actually get on. But
well, yeah,
um,
we
you
had
know,
backstage conversations. Learned I had a rough day. We'll just say rough day, Rich. Um, anyway, but I'm still laughing and smiling because I'm still living. It's all good. Anyway, Rich, let's talk about these Steelers. I know we talked a good bit.
man,
Dylan was actually. He seemed like he was really scared last night. Like I want to get the fuck out of here, and my parents don't. And that bothered me. Like why are you not
yeah.
getting out of there? I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean justifiably so. And of course we're all thinking about everybody in Florida. The owner of the radio station that I work for right now is actually the chief meteorologist for one of the TV stations there in Fort Myers, and he's been on the air. They're running 12-hour shifts, and he's been on the air down there 12-hour shifts for the last 4 days. And I just found out the other day that one of the other meteorologists down there, I used to work with her when she was here in Waco on the CBS affiliate here, and now she works for him down there. So small world.
You know,
But yeah, I mean, I'm watching what some of these people are doing, and you know, so you ever heard the line "more guts than brains"? Because some of these guys that stand out there and deal and fight this storm, and they let it just beat the stuffing out of them, and they're wearing motorcycle helmets and all this other stuff, and I mean, they're just. I'm
no,
amazed. They're tougher than me. I know that. I did a little bit with Sandy for the Maryland radio network whenever I was in Maryland.
165 mile an hour wind. That's what I
Huh?
heard it's gonna be. I heard it's gonna be like 165 to 170 when it hits landfall, which is better than 180, but not by much. So
Well,
these
it
people.
was actually 125 when it made landfall.
Oh, was it? I saw one. Like I said, Rich. Obviously, you've been watching. I've been watching people's posts. Um, obviously, you watched it a little more closer than I did, but I heard 180, 165 when it was supposed to hit. So that means it
Yeah.
cooled down a little bit once the outer bands wrapped around and hit the land, and it slowed down a little bit. I believe that's how that happens. But then it picks up all that steam again on the backside because it wraps around the ocean,
Right.
right?
Right. You're 100% right. And I mean, it was supposed to be that bad when it hit, when landfall officially hit. For those people that don't understand, and actually just found this out recently. I was confused with it. Landfall, the technical term of landfall, isn't when it actually first hits land. It's when the center
Oh,
of the eye hits land. And it hit at like 125 miles an hour, about 15 minutes, about 15 minutes before it went on the air. Yeah, so it was like 7:45 Central Time, 8:45 their time. Um, and so it was only a Category 3 when it made landfall. Um,
that's
but
still wrong.
it's bananas. What I know, it was like, I want to say it was like 90 when I was doing my stuff during Sandy. It was like 90, 95, something like that. And I mean, at that point in time, I'm 7 foot tall to start with. At that point in time, I was 375, 380.
Right?
And it was still, I mean, I'm getting blown around like a leaf. I'm doing everything I can to try to keep my balance and all that kind of stuff, uh,
Hey,
to not get blown away.
I saw a picture earlier, and it said the waves on the Gulf, and it already had massive erosion. Like it showed the top of the trees just being stuck in the waves.
Mhm.
Like, and it was almost at this dude's house, and I don't know if that was a ring cam, if they got out of there or not, but that was the video that was shown, and they're like, and I just sat there and watched it. I must have, I didn't realize that I was watching only a minute video. I probably watched it for like 5 minutes. Like, wow, this is crazy. But like the trees were barely out of the water, the top part. So I'm like,
Yeah.
huh,
And
so that's probably a good what, 15 feet already.
somewhere in there, yeah. I mean, you got to figure 10 to 15.
These waves were just rolling through the top parts, no problem,
The
no
storm
problem.
surge is what people are mostly concerned about. Yes, the wind is a problem,
So you're
but the storm surge is what's going to be the problem, because that's what's going to linger. That's where the water comes in, and you have the water that goes over the roof of single story homes, and they get up into the second floor of buildings and things of that nature. Um, and they're saying that that is a very strong conceivability in some of these areas.
rich. You want to hear
So,
a question? Go ahead. Go ahead. Ask your question, sir.
yeah, fire away. What do you got?
Um, but yeah, Rich, I was pretty. Hopefully, this guy asked a question, um, but
Yeah.
I was. I just know that. I just want to know. I didn't hear anything yet, but did the bay get sucked out like it did in the last big one?
It actually veered north a little bit.
So it's
So
gonna not. So the storm surge isn't gonna completely devastate Tampa.
it's going to devastate, but it's not going to put Tampa Bay completely, become Atlantis. Um, it was going to be really bad if it would have come through the way they were talking about. But it did deter itself a little bit to the north. So it's not as bad. It's still bad, but not as bad. Definitely
Well,
nothing to play with.
Rich, are you ready? This is a long question.
It's okay.
I'm an Army fan, and there is a very real chance we can make the 12-team playoff this year and get an Army Navy AAC title game. I know we do not have the resources to compete with, say, Alabama or Ohio State, but I'm curious if fans of college football would want to see Army or Navy in the playoff for the feel good story. I know our schedule has been terrible, but if we go undefeated, would the NCAA take Army over an 11-1 Boise State?
Well, yeah, if they win their conference, of course. What I would love to see happen, and I realize we're way putting the cart before the horse on this. But what I would love to see happen is the Army Navy game be two undefeated teams. That would
Hey,
be awesome.
yes, yeah, yes, that would be a great game, actually.
And the thing is, the
I
person
feel
that sent the question in,
I feel if one of them goes undefeated, they almost have to, or else this is totally going to break the playoff rules.
right? I mean, that's you. We talked about this on open mic a few Tuesdays ago, and I got on my soapbox about this whole thing. If you're a Division 1 team and you go undefeated, you're in. Period, paragraph, end of story, or this whole thing is a schmoz. If you have one loss, you're in. I mean, if they're here's my thinking. If they're both undefeated going into the Army Navy game, they're both in. The winner is going in undefeated. The other one's going in with one loss. Because what's that one loss? To an undefeated team. Whether that undefeated team is Army or Notre Dame or Ohio State or whoever. And the person that asked the question and said, well, we probably wouldn't be able to compete, or however it was worded, with Alabama or Ohio State. What says they can't?
Any
They
given
play
Saturday,
a
we just saw Vanderbilt pull one of the biggest upsets in the world.
exactly. They play a completely different style of football. There's a lot. It's a lot of running the ball. They don't throw the ball a lot. But I would ask, would the NCAA not do it? No, wouldn't matter. Would not matter. They're a Division I football team. Yeah, you have to get in. You have to get in. You're a Division I football team that went undefeated, played the schedule you were supposed to, especially you beating Notre Dame. But if you're going into that game, if you finish your season undefeated, you're in. And I agree with Adam. If it's not in, it completely blows up the whole playoff system and it makes it a joke because they have to get in. There's no question about it. So cheer for your team. They keep getting it. They keep winning. Go undefeated and see them in the playoffs and watch them play Ohio State or Oregon or whoever.
So if they go undefeated, should they finish in like a top 4, top 5? Because obviously Georgia's lost, Alabama's lost, Ohio State has not lost yet. But like, should they be seated above the one loss team?
Yeah. Yeah. As a second 5 conference champion, yes. I could certainly see them being. The funny part of it could be because we talked about parity in the NCAA, and we've seen a bunch of it already this year. I mean, we've seen Ole Miss get knocked off. We've seen Missouri get knocked off. We've seen, Michigan's. No, yeah, Michigan's lost a game. Alabama's lost a game. Georgia's lost a game. I wouldn't be surprised if you only have 1 or 0 undefeated teams besides Army or Navy, whoever. That would be fun because then, yeah, a number 1 or 2 seed Army makes complete sense. Man, I tell you what, hosting that playoff, oof, you talk about a hot ticket. Goodness gracious,
That would be wild.
it would be. It would be fantastic. And you've got, especially with and I realize we're talking about Army, but with Navy, you've got a Hall of Fame top 15 quarterback of all time that went to Navy. That's going to be right there doing all kinds of publicity for this thing to push the Navy and all that, and Roger Staubach. Not to mention the fact you have one of the greatest NBA players of all time that played at Navy and David Robinson. So, those guys. Okay, go ahead. What do you got?
I'm ready. Yeah. So, Rich, I am going to the Pitt Clemson game.
Oh, very good.
My buddy texted me the other day on Saturday when I was at that wedding, and he's like, "Hey, like I think it was tickets were like cheap, $54 for underneath cover, 227, right in the end zone, right in the corner of the end zone." So I was like, "Yeah, grab them, dude. Why not?"
Yeah.
So I will have a Pitt jersey pretty soon. I did order one. I was like, I'm not going to a Pitt game, not wearing a jersey.
They
All
have
right,
foul
Arcade,
this week.
you're ready to.
They should.
We're waiting for your comments here. But yeah, I'm going to that game, which is probably going to be the hottest ticket probably in Pittsburgh, if they stay undefeated.
Well, and I don't know why they wouldn't. They've got Cal this week. They've got Syracuse the following week, both at home. They come they come to Dallas and play SMU.
Syracuse
Then
is
they
gonna be
play Virginia, and then they've got Clemson.
Syracuse is gonna be a game.
I don't know. I think at home they roll Syracuse.
As we
The
wait,
toughest game the toughest game I see the whole rest of the season outside of Clemson is SMU.
they're dangerous, especially at SMU. I've been to that college. I've walked by it. It's pretty damn big, that stadium. It's massive.
It is. They before they centralized all the high school football state championships at AT&T Stadium, they played some at SMU. That Ford Stadium is nice. Army would get slaughtered versus Alabama. Oh no. You're missing one major thing. You're talking about not a ratings draw. How big of a fan base does Army have?
Especially,
There's a bigger. I'll bet you there's a bigger fan base for Army than there is for almost any other college in the country.
and that would be even some Alabama fans being like, "I went to Army. I was in the Army." I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
they'd
I
have many
mean,
emotions.
everybody that went to the Army is going to be going, well, heck yeah. And they'll be watching the game. Oh, the NCAA, they would
They,
want that for the ratings.
they might even have to move that to a like neutral site where they can fit everyone.
Right. And don't be concerned about the fact that they're going to think they're going to get smoked because I got news for you. There's Big 12, SEC, Pac 10, Big 10 teams that get smoked every year in bowl games and in playoff games. So that's don't be concerned about that. Please don't be concerned about that. If they go undefeated, I could virtually guarantee they're in. At what level they're in, my opinion and what's going to happen may be different,
They go undefeated.
but
They should be 6 and above seed.
definitely
They
at
should be on
worst
they should
six.
be on the higher end and possibly be the home team if they're undefeated.
If they're undefeated and there aren't four other undefeated teams, they should be in the top four.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just think this playoff is going to make it way more interesting once we get towards the end of November.
I think it is too. But man, what our questioner, please don't think that the ratings are going to be an issue. The NCAA, if they saw that, they're going to go bananas because you have a service academy in there that hasn't played that type of a game in decades. Um, and the following that Army has, oh no, that's gonna be a ratings boom. Whether they play one, two in Q, or make it to the national championship, they're gonna pull numbers that are just astronomical. You can appreciate your question too, by the way. Please keep sharing your thoughts and share your questions.
All right. So our guest Allison she hasn't responded. I guess she's learned this thing hit landfall and everything else. She did not evacuate, Rich. So I kind of
Well, they've got a flash flood emergency going on in Tampa. I've got the weather up over my head here. And they just had another tornado hitting somewhere in that general vicinity. So I, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised that she's unavailable.
they put Miami Dade completely under tornado watch. I was surprised because this thing's nowhere near Miami Dade.
Well, but I think they're doing that just to have everyone aware. They
Right.
may not get anything that far south, but I mean, they're getting rain out of this
That's
thing and
where I
all
call
that, but
tornado.
you
I think
never
that's
really know. yeah, this latest tornado is going through St. Lucie County.
I
Port
saw
St.
that
Lucie, I
tornado on
believe, is the spring
water.
training facility for the Mets.
I think I saw that tornado that popped up was down by Miami in the ocean. I think that's where that
Hmm.
video goes.
Yeah,
I mean, I
but
could be
yeah,
wrong.
it's
But I read near in Miami Dade.
yeah. I mean, this thing, no matter how you look at it, man, it's not going to be good. There's, I mean, people are going to homes are going to be lost, businesses are going to be lost. Unfortunately, lives are going to be lost. Um, it's just a bad deal all the way around. And to have it, a week and a half after what Helene did, that people are going to be, dude, I promise you, man, there's people in Carolina and all that kind of stuff. It's
Asheville,
going to
North
be
Carolina. Asheville, North
years.
Carolina
It ain't,
is in awful shape, god awful shape. A woman got. I saw a video today where she said, "There's no aid. There's probably at least I can just smell bodies." I mean, she literally just said that, and she said
no,
there's vultures just flying around, ready to come down and swoop. I
yeah.
feel awful. It's a town of 2 million people, um, completely washed off the map. I mean, it might still be on the map, but if you go there, it's not there.
Well, and the thing you got to look at too is the one of the problems is getting there because all the roads are destroyed and the ground is too wet to drive on.
Well, they were
Even if you've got military tanks, they're sinking in the dirt in the mud. So the only way to get to these places is by helicopter. And I know there's a bunch of people that are coming out there to do rescue efforts with helicopters. There's a fella from right here in Gatesville, Texas, that's done that he's made 5 or 6 rescues in the last few days, in his private helicopter. It's one of those things that we haven't seen this before, and to this degree. I mean, we've seen floods before, we've seen hurricanes before. Katrina was bad. And my
Katrina had a lot of Angel One helicopters. I don't know about civilian helicopters, but I know my ex father in law was in Angel One, and he flew down there for Katrina whenever it happened, and I know
well,
he was doing all that he could.
the biggest difference between what happened with Helene in Carolina and Katrina, okay, the biggest difference is that New Orleans, Louisiana, and that surrounding area is in a bowl. It's all below sea level. So when that levee broke, they were screwed blue and tattooed from the jump, and they had nowhere to go. This stuff in Carolina, they actually have some altitude. Can you imagine what it'd be like if they didn't have that altitude?
It rose like
They would
45.
be smooth off the map.
Well, I mean that whole town, all their stores are gone. I'm sure you saw that
Oh,
video.
they're yeah.
I mean,
I mean, they've got
waters
to
were up over
rebuild from
45.
square
The
one.
waters were up over 45 feet of just raging hell.
Yeah, I mean,
Raging.
it is her, and I am I'm very thankful that none of the people in the area where my radio station is had to deal with any of that. When they were first talking about where this storm was going, it was going straight through Albany, Georgia, which is where my radio station is based.
I got a
That
buddy.
whole listening area could have been blown through. It veered east. Some of my listeners, yes, they have issues. Some of my clients have issues. Valdosta, Georgia got hit really hard, which is south of Albany. And there, I have clients that they have locations in that area, and they're having to rebuild, but they're not having to do anything like what's going on in that western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee area. And I'm afraid that when this thing blows through with Milton, that we're going to see chunks of Florida going through the exact same thing. I'm just afraid of that.
If it dies down, there's a chance.
but it's not. That's it. I'm watching this right now. It ain't dying down.
Oh, yeah. I don't. I have. I don't even know what's on my TV. Some show. Yeah, I'm trying not to like really. Okay, so my next question is: would you rather have a hurricane hit at night or during the day? I mean,
During the
besides
day.
never at all. But I mean, obviously, it's hitting at night where you can't see anything. I think that makes it more
Right.
scary, more dangerous. At least hitting during
Right.
the
The
day, you can see.
right. Well, you can see the other stuff with it because there's these things called rain wrap tornadoes. And that's what we saw earlier today when you were seeing those videos and that kind of stuff. That's what it was. Those things are called rain wrapped tornadoes. And you can at least see those during the day. You can see them coming. At night, you can't. My my buddy Matt Hines with the ABC affiliate here in Waco would be very pleased with me because he taught me all this stuff. I played 20 questions with him when Katrina was coming through. But whenever all this stuff happens, I would rather have it during the day. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I'd rather have it during the day so I can see all the peripheral stuff that's happening. But I mean, I'm watching guys in Madeira Beach, in Tampa, in St. Lucie, and man, here's something I can promise you. Okay, 70% of the spring training facilities for Major League Baseball are in Florida on the west. Most of them are on the western
We got
coast
our
of
we got
Florida.
our Pirates. We got Red Sox. Orioles are on the east. Um, Yankees are
Pirates,
right there. Yankees are right there. Um,
Pirates are in Bradenton.
right, that's what I said. Our Pirates are right there.
Mets are in Port St. Lucie. Tampa Bay is in Port St. Lucie. Um, yeah, I mean you've got a ton of, and this is not just don't fool yourself. This is not just affecting the west coast of the state. It's affecting the whole state. I mean, they're having flooding issues and all that at Daytona Beach. They're having flooding issues in Orlando. They're having flooding issues all over the state, east or west, doesn't matter. So,
I didn't think it was that bad yet.
yeah, it's been raining and that stuff all day. It's been hard rain all day. Um,
I thought the outer band was. Well, I don't know. I didn't see the outer band.
yeah, that outer band, they started having stuff hit like around lunchtime. And I mean, it's bananas, man. I promise you, it is absolutely 1000% bananas. I was in the studio when Katrina hit. And see, when Katrina hit, it was supposed to come straight up I-35 through the center of Texas and come through Austin, Waco, and come into Dallas. It veered right and went to New Orleans. And I was in studio all night that night. I was doing weather reports on all three of our stations, bouncing from one studio to the next one. So I didn't see what was going on outside, but I knew what was going on from watching, but I didn't see it from my own view. Same thing with this. I mean, this is crazy. This is it's 50 times worse than what I saw before, and I'm just I'm really concerned about the fact of all the highly populated areas this thing has hit. Because when Helene hit, it hit a lot of smaller populated areas, but it didn't hit as many highly populated areas. I mean, it hit Atlanta and that kind of deal, but you know, um,
It didn't
but
destroy Atlanta.
wait, the star, yeah, the star of our show is coming in here. Hello, man.
You need to give an AirPod in his ear, Rich.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna try something.
We're getting our guest Jack tonight.
Who's that? That's you. You say hi to Adam.
You need to put an AirPod in his ear, Rich.
Hold on. Say hi to
Hey,
Adam.
how are you?
Say hi, Jackson.
Hello, how are you? Oh, I'll pick up my phone too. Hello, hello,
Adam's on the phone.
hello.
Adam,
Hi, buddy.
Yeah.
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 What are we gonna talk about? We're gonna talk NASCAR. Oh, my doggy. My
Hey, and
dog.
tell him go
look
Cowboys.
what Adam's got. You see his doggy?
Yeah.
Doggy.
Oh.
Yeah, Adam's got a doggy too.
Mm.
And remember to tell him you're a Cowboys fan.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
This is my Steeler. This is my Steeler buddy right here.
Yeah. Well, his dad.
You want any car?
Are you? Is it time? Is it time to go night night, buddy?
No. You come on now.
Yes,
Is it time to go with mommy and daddy?
Grandpa.
Go
He's
in
doing
the
a
bath.
show. He's do a show.
Yeah, go in the bath. That's where you're going.
You going to take a bath?
No.
No.
Yeah, I smell you from here. Come on.
Now, is he staying overnight,
All right,
Rich, or is
buddy.
Hey.
Do what?
he staying overnight, or is he going home?
Hey.
No. My daughter and son-in-law are here.
Hey, I want to talk.
Well, talk,
Say
buddy.
that again, buddy.
What do you want to talk about?
Oh.
What would you like to talk about, huh? I'll join. I'll join you.
Huh?
What would you like to talk?
No.
Football?
As a daughter.
Good, you.
You know he's doing it for the freaking paycheck at that point.
And then no.
That hazard pay is ridiculous.
Turn down it.
Talk now.
Mini. It's full.
Hey, you come here, you. Hey,
Yeah.
It's full.
your phone's not broke.
Why?
It's not broken.
What's full? Oh, you know.
Get daddy to fix it for you.
Sure.
Give it to daddy.
Does daddy know?
Give Gramps hugs. Oh, there he goes. There you go. I love you. You need to go to mommy and daddy, okay?
Okay.
All right, buddy.
Come on, kid. And go Cowboys.
As I throw my son-in-law out for cheering for the Cowboys. Well, there we go. We had our cameo.
Right. We had both cameos.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Anyway. Well,
my
yeah,
grandson is a trip.
good. You need to train him right. Make him do what he's got to do, and make him good on the air, buddy. That's your goal.
Oh, I'm working on it. I have a picture of him. I don't know if I can post it or not. When I got back from being sick, the first remote that I did was a car dealership here in town, and it was Halloween. And we did this big thing where we would folks came in and we did a costume contest and they decorated their cars and all this other crazy stuff, right? So he came in and he was dressed up in a Paw Patrol outfit. And I've got a picture of me sitting there broadcasting with my headset on, and he's got the headset on too, with the mic flipped this way and all that kind of stuff. And he's like a year old at this point. Super cool. I'll have to shoot it to you. When we're off the air. But yeah, I mean, he's got the personality already. I mean, he's gonna do big things. I mean, this kid, we always kid around that he's gonna be the next great architect because he gets his blocks and man, he puts all kind of stuff together. And he's only 3. He just turned 3 in July. So
Good. But, I was trying to see if anyone posted anything about this thing making landfall, but I haven't seen anything.
oh yeah. Like I say, it hit landfall about 7:45 my time, so 8:45 your time. And it did it a little bit north of Tampa. But I mean, we talked about an open mic last night. And I agree 100%. If there was any NFL games this weekend and that, along anywhere of that, if there was a game in Tampa or something like that, they'd be finding someplace else to do the game.
That's why I wasn't sure about That's why I wasn't sure about Jacksonville because I knew they were home. I just didn't know they were at their secondary place.
Well, the
What are
Jacksonville,
we eating tonight, Rich?
huh?
What are we eating tonight?
We are eating my wife's chocolate pudding. It's not regular pudding. Sorry, guys. We have an appearance from another family member here. What are we hunting for there, kid? His car is over there in your little My Little Pony thing or whatever the heck it is.
I don't see the other guests, but how you doing?
Yeah, she's this is the mother of Jackson.
Gotcha.
It should be on the one with the trees there, kid.
Is this
That's where
the
he had.
Nathan Navaldi fan?
No, 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 no. That's one of my youngest. No, no, no. Lauren's not a sports fan that much.
It's not a type of
Gotcha.
sports fan.
But that's where I saw him have it last was over there.
So your other daughter's a sports fan.
Yeah, I've got to remember, I got two sets of twins. So I've got one of my oldest is in the military. She's in Italy, she's in the Air Force. My other oldest is Jackson's mom. And then my youngest two, one of them is the Native Aldi fan. And she last year, the run the Rangers had and all that really kind of just threw her into being a baseball fan. Because she kind of liked it, but she really was a fan after last season. And then,
Wins a championship, everyone pays attention,
Hmm?
right? When your team wins a championship, everyone seems to pay a little more attention.
yeah, but Sydney really just, I mean, went full bore, 100 miles an hour. Here it goes, kind of a thing. So she picked up Evaldi. She was a big Nelson Cruz fan. I think 17 just kind of stuck for her.
I'm gonna send her a Red Sox Baldy jersey. Just for some shits and giggles.
There you go. Well, I was not kidding when I mentioned it the other night or last night on open mic. If Evaldi signs with somebody else, the loud scream that you will hear coming from the Texas area would be my daughter.
Right?
So,
do you see him going anywhere, or is Texas going to sign him?
oh no, he's their number one priority.
So they made that known.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
He's
obviously,
their number one priority. Their number two priority, and I think the only thing that would I think it's either he retires or he comes back is Kirby Yates. Guy was 31 out of 32 on saves this year. I'll take that every year forever. But yeah, and Yates he's either just turned 40 or he's getting ready to turn 40. And there's talk of him hanging them up. The Rangers would love to have him back as their closer again, but if he retires, he retires. I think David Robertson's done. I think he's hanging them up because he is 40. But the Rangers' two biggest priorities are Evaldi and Kirby Yates, and they got to improve backup catcher, and then they've got to figure out what's going on with Evan Carter. This back injury, you hear stories. It's one of those, and I'm sure we all hear this with us being in sports. You hear something once and you go, yeah, okay, fine. You hear something twice and you're like, okay. You hear it 3 times and you start to think it has some legs to it. When you hear something numerous times, like dozens of times, then you start really thinking, okay, this could be legit. And from what I'm hearing, this condition that Carter has in his back could be career threatening. The kid's 22.
Sometimes you got to put career over life, or life over
Right.
career.
Life over career. The kid's 22. He's married. He has a kid. And from the way that the diagnosis was explained to me by someone that knows a whole heck of a lot more about that stuff than I do,
Right.
it's very similar to the degenerative thing that Stone Cold Steve Austin had that caused him to retire, where the discs were literally degenerating. And of course, anybody that's ever watched a baseball game knows you put a lot of torque on your back every time you swing. You're running constantly, so it's putting pressure on your back every step you take. Sliding, diving for balls, that kind of stuff. I really hope, I've got fingers crossed, all that kind of good stuff, that he's able to come back. Because it's not just the fact that he's a good guy; he's a hell of a ball player. So we'll see how that goes.
Right.
But I think they're pretty set on the infield. Nate Lowe is a free agent, but he does have a club it's either a player option or a club option. I don't remember which. But I think they're okay on the infield. So they just gotta have guys healthy. This year, every starter in the rotation except Andrew Haney was spent at least one stint on the DL. Every one of them.
I think your whole infield did too.
Was that?
I think your whole infield was on the IL too, except for Semien.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
I mean, fortunately, we have depth there. Josh Smith had a great year. Ezekiel Duran did well. That kind of thing. So, at least we had depth there. The starting pitching, Leiter came up too fast. Bringing Rocker up like they did the last couple of weeks of the season, I think was okay. But they brought Leiter up in like May, and that was a bad move. Some of the other guys that they threw out there starting, I mean, it was just not a good deal. So but it's the counteraction of what they had in 23, because the only injury they really had in 23 was when Seager broke his thumb right at the beginning of the season, and Ezekiel Duran took over at shortstop, played all-star shortstop until Seager came back, and everybody else was healthy the rest of the year.
That's my guy, dude. That's my guy. I don't care. Seager's my guy. I don't care.
Seager's a top 5 shortstop in baseball. I don't see where there's any way anybody could argue against that.
I mean, I only own a Dodgers and a Rangers jersey because of that guy.
Well, and see, the funniest part of the whole thing is his brother used to kill the Rangers. Kyle Seager, when he was with the Mariners,
right, with Seattle,
he would kick the dog out of the Rangers, man. I think for his career, he hit like 390, 400, drove in some ungodly number of runs. He hit more home runs against the Rangers than he did against any other team. It was just, it was crazy. We were glad to see him retire. Huh?
Rick, that was the bad days of the Rangers, though.
Say that again?
That was the bad days of the Rangers.
Yeah, the Rangers.
Like
Rangers, yeah, they had some bad years, some real bad years.
Well, Rich, you
some
want
real good ones.
An hour, so let's transform this whole conversation to Pittsburgh, going against the Raiders. Obviously, last night we got to vent a little bit about Sunday's loss to the Cowboys. Obviously,
obviously, Cowboys still suck, by the way.
Well, they beat us, so we suck worse.
No. It's 8:57 and the Cowboys still suck.
We know Aiden O'Connell is starting.
Okay. Why is everybody down on Aiden O'Connell?
I'm not. I picked him up in my fantasy because I had Gordon Minshew.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at all the national guys and that kind of stuff, and they're like, he's trash. And I'm sitting here going, did you not watch the guy play last year?
He did
I'm not
decent.
saying I'm
It
not
was
saying he's Josh Allen.
it wasn't out lights number, but it was numbers to get the job done.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or somebody like that. But he's not horrible. I mean, come on. He's not Bryce Young. Yeah, that kind of, yeah.
I can't believe Carolina's getting offers for this guy.
The Niners got offers for Trey Lance.
Trey Lance was decent. I'm gonna leave
Was
it at
Trey
that.
Lance any more decent than Bryce Young?
Not getting into this Trey Lance because if he doesn't get injured, he still might have a job.
I think those two guys, honestly, I think those two guys are pretty much the same guy.
Next time you talk to John, ask him about
But I'm
He
just
might
saying, I think Bryce Young and
hang up.
Trey Lance are the same quarterback.
He might hang up the show on you just to let you know.
Well, but I mean, do both of them have talent? Yeah. Or are they NFL quarterbacks?
Well, they are.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, there's been guys that have been really good quarterbacks. The greatest quarterback in the history of college football flamed out in a couple of years in the NFL. Tim
Matt
Tebow.
Is Archie Manning going to be a high draft pick next year?
Is who?
Archie Manning.
He can't come out.
Next year.
Oh, next year?
What would that be? 26?
Yeah.
26
He can come out in 26 draft.
He's going to be the starting quarterback for the Texas A&M, right? Or Texas the Longhorns. He's going to be there. You don't think he is?
Sarkisian's talking about starting Ewers Saturday against OU.
Obviously, you're closer to this than I am.
I see that. I already saw this movie 25 years ago. You ever heard of a guy named Major Applewhite?
I've heard of him, but I don't know anything about him. I've heard the name.
Yeah. Major Applewhite and James Brown were going back and forth with the starting job. Neither one of them were able to succeed because they kept changing the starting quarterback constantly, and it screwed up the Longhorns until Vince Young came in and got it straight. Major Applewhite is a very good quarterback. Could have been an NFL quarterback. Reminded me a lot of Alex Smith, to be honest with you. And I thought he could have had a good NFL career. Lost all of his confidence and all that kind of stuff because Mac Brown would not make up his damn mind. Sark has got to make up his mind with these guys. That's one of the Texas has not had a legit starting quarterback since Vince Young.
That's bad.
Now, and I mean, Quinn Ewers.
Texas is a
I said open. Say again.
Texas is a big program not to have a solid quarterback at least through junior through senior year. Unless they're that good and they get drafted pre-senior, obviously.
True, but what I'm saying is you've got Quinn Ewers, who I really don't believe in. I said that during our college preview open mic night, that I don't believe in Quinn Ewers. I have more confidence in the Longhorns winning the SEC under Arch Manning than I do under Quinn Ewers.
Well, this is their time to step in and steal it now.
What's that?
This is their time to step in and steal it because there's one loss in each of those divisions now.
Yeah, there is, but let's not get too crazy over here before people start getting all weird and everything.
If they're going to step up and do anything, this is it. This is their time. They're like, this is their time to step up.
I don't think they win this week. In fact, I think they lose 2 in a row. How about that one?
All right.
because they got Georgia next week. And I get it's at DKR. I get that. And
Don't
then
matter.
they go to Vanderbilt the following week.
And as we saw, Vanderbilt's no fucking joke right now.
Vanderbilt's nobody to play with, man.
I mean, obviously their goalposts are being raffled off because the NCAA fined them for storming the field. I think it was $100,000.
Yeah. But
And
I
there's
mean, you look at
parts of the goalpost that they pulled from the river are selling for over $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did they have to throw it in the river? I didn't understand that at all. Why didn't they put it in front of town hall or
I don't know.
you know what I'm
I
saying?
don't know.
Why didn't they throw it in the river? I understand they're drunk college kids and they had to carry that thing at least a mile and a half, carrying a fucking goalpost, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand why they threw it in the river. They should have stood it up at City Hall or
Yeah.
But that's just me.
But I mean, when you look at Texas's schedule the rest of the way, I still stand on the fact they got 3 losses sitting there. They got OU this Saturday. They've got Georgia next Saturday. They're at Vanderbilt. Then they got Florida, at Arkansas, Kentucky, and they close the season at College Station against Texas A&M for the first time since A&M left the Big 12. So that's what,
I
15
like
years ago?
I like that they're going back to rivals.
Well, the only reason they're doing that is because now they're in the SEC. They're
Right,
keeping the Texas OU thing because OU went with them.
right, but it's still bringing back the rival.
It is, but you know what the longest rivalry in that whole group of stuff is?
Oklahoma State,
Baylor, Texas.
Baylor, Texas.
And it's not going to happen anymore. I mean, Bedlam in Oklahoma, Bedlam's okay. It's a cool rivalry, that kind of stuff. Baylor, Texas, I've been a part of that. Excuse me. On both ends of it, in Waco and in Austin. I've been a part of Texas A&M in Austin and in College Station.
So
Been a part
obviously,
of Pitt-Penn State.
I am not watching this Pens game tonight, but apparently we're getting our asses
Last I saw, it was 4-0 Rangers.
kicked. Yeah,
Uh,
unbelievable.
6-0 with 1:35 left in the third.
Yeah, I didn't start Sheboygan tonight, and I'm probably gonna regret.
Well, I made my pick at the start of the season for who wins the cup, and of course I got the homer thing. But I legitimately think the Stars win it this year. They were that close last year. I think they win it this year,
I am going back to Colorado.
which is a valid pick. I mean, I think those are the 2 best teams in the West.
I think they make the biggest move and take Crosby off of us.
See, I don't think Crosby leaves.
I just feel it. They're gonna want Crosby to win another cup. His number's going to be retired. His name is going to be forever legend here. Why not let the guy go win another cup? Especially to play with his good friend Nathan. And I just feel it's the right move.
But it's also one of those things of being a one-team guy. And him and Malkin are probably going to could conceivably be the last 2 superstar long-term players to play one team only. Everybody else is moving from one team to another and all that kind of stuff. And those 2 guys could be the last, and they could put their names with Mario. I was pissed when they traded Yager.
But if it wasn't for that trade, Rich, we would have never gotten the 3. We would have never gotten Malkin. We would have never gotten Fleury, and we never would have gotten number 87. That trade, how pissed we all were but we knew Malkin was, or we knew Yogs was on his way out. That
Right.
situation was turning ugly. He was holding up Goldilocks signs or Cinderella signs in front of his face, whatever you want to call it. This whole situation was just turning ugly.
Yeah, I just hated to see it. Yager was my guy. I liked Lemieux. Yager was my guy, and it especially when he goes to the freaking Rangers, and
Well,
I'm like,
he went from here to Washington or the Flyers,
well,
right?
yeah, he went. Well, yeah, he went from here. Well, I think he went to the Rangers first, then the Flyers, and then Washington. And I'm like, what the hell? Go to every rival of the Penguins, why don't you?
I thought he went to the Flyers first. I thought he went
I
Flyers, New York, Washington, and then he went to
I
Florida.
thought that was reversed, but I don't know. Let me look.
I mean, it was
I only had a magic box.
23. It was 23. I don't have the
Yeah,
best.
Pittsburgh, Washington, then the Rangers, then Philly, then
Then
Boston, Dallas, New Jersey, Florida, Calgary.
he's a well-traveled man.
Yeah, when he came to Dallas, I was like, heck yeah, man. Got to see my guy play again for another season. I didn't care that he was 40. Screw that.
He was still probably better than half of that third line.
Yeah. Well, and that was, if I remember correctly, that was Madonna's last year. And had both of them guys together, plus Newendike. I mean, that team was pretty solid. It was old, but it was pretty solid.
Yeah, it just seems like we're just over the age limit now.
And you have a point. I mean, I'm not saying you don't have a point, but doesn't mean I got like.
Over the age to be phenomenal at the NHL level. Let's rephrase that, because these guys are still great, but they need a supporting cast now.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, they don't have a whole lot. It's the old thing of, who else you got with them?
Drew
You got
Connor,
Malkin, you got Crosby. Who you got with them? You traded a bunch of guys last year.
they're not going to make a team. They're not. They're just not going to make a team. I went
No, I
last
mean,
year's opener. I rushed tickets to go because I wanted to see Connor Bedard. I was more interested in seeing Connor Bedard play his first NHL game than I was the Penguins. But I thought we should have won, and obviously we lost.
Well, but I mean, you got rid of Getzel.
This is before that.
Rust is still there, right?
Yeah, this is the opening game last year. I got to see Crosby and Bedard face off. I got to see that face off. Sometimes you just know when someone's going to be good.
Oh, well, yeah. And Connor Bedard was going to be one of those guys, It's like Rick Nash. You knew Nash was going to be a superstar. Guys like that. I mean, you just know. When he came into, when I first was, well, not first I was watching, but in the heyday of my watch, when I was eyeballed into it, you had guys like Newendike and Fleury and Theo Fleury, not Marc Andre, but Theo Fleury, coming through, and Teemu Solani and Paul Correa playing for Anaheim, and Madonna and Langenbrunner and guys like that. Scott Stevens for the Devils, and huh?
Pavel Bure Canucks.
Pavel Bure, yeah.
And how can
His
you
brother was pretty good, but his brother was nowhere near as good as he was.
like? How can you even leave out any of that Detroit madness? Lidstrom, Fury,
Oh
or
yeah, I mean, you got Iserman and those guys, Chris Chelios in Chicago, and I
Larry
mean,
Murphy.
the list goes on and on. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Penguins at that time, you had Lemieux, you had Yager, you had Murphy, you had Ronnie Francis, you had Kevin Stevens, you had Opie and Shell Samuelson. Of course, you had Tommy Barrasso and Ken Reggett in the net. All those guys. That.
Ken Reagan making the save of the playoffs. Like that's the only thing. That's the only thing he's really remembered for around here. If you were alive for it, the save against New Jersey.
Yep.
That
Well,
changed the whole. That changed the whole playoff.
the first game when the Rangers made the trade for Peter Nedved, first game he came to, they booed him out of the building because he's the one that scored the goal in that 4 overtime playoff game that sent the Rangers on. And I sat up and watched that game till 2:30 in the flipping morning, and had to go to school the next day to watch us spit the bit and then lose the series. And I'm like, ugh.
I remember
Peter
being up
Nedved.
like 5:20 or what was it, like 3:24 when the Penguins played the Capitals, and that went deep. I'm like, what am I doing? But I
Yeah.
was a kid, so I didn't care. It was school. But seeing the win always helped getting up in the morning. If we lost, it was like, oh my god, I don't even want to go to school.
Yep.
I mean, that's just the way it is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, you're
Um,
right.
So what? I know, Rich. You gave me you wanted to do an hour tonight. We're at an hour, but what are your thoughts on this game this weekend? We got Aiden O'Connell. Obviously, I don't know shit about the Raiders because I haven't paid attention at all. I don't own any of them on my fantasy team. So, well, I do. I own
That's
Aiden O'Connell now because I didn't realize I had Gordon Minshew and how to use them.
Well, really, the only guy on that team that is even worth anything on fantasy is Brock Bowers, the rookie tight end out of Georgia.
He's a beast. Touchdowns
He's
last.
having a hell of a year. The receiving core, I mean, Devontae Adams is out. So you got Jacoby Myers as their number one receiver who, you know, he's he's a proverbial jag. He's just a guy. Um, when you look at what they're throwing out there, Zamir White has done absolutely nothing. So Alexander Madison's their lead back. Um, the rest of their receiving core, I would give you $1 if you could tell me who any of them were. Trey Tucker, DJ Turner, Tyreek McAllister.
You're cheating. You're looking at their depth chart.
Huh?
You're cheating. You're looking at their depth chart.
Well, no, I'll be dead honest. I am looking at this list because
Do you
I
think
know Bowers, I know Michael Mayer, I know Zamir White, I know Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. Outside of that, I got nothing.
How long before you think they promote Dylan Lobby, the rookie? How long before they think they give him a shot?
Until they give who a shot?
Dylan Lobby, rookie running back.
I mean, he's fourth on the depth chart.
Right, he's behind Madison.
He's behind Madison, and he's behind Amir Abdullah. I don't know. I mean, I think they're trying to figure out what the heck's going on with Zamir White because I really think they want to hang their hat on Zamir White.
So we should be able to shut down. So the Steelers should be able to shut down this running game. But we did watch a no-name. Well, unless you have on your fantasy team, Rico Dowdle run for 80 yards, catch for 23, and end up over 100 yards altogether. Which I did. I did predict that Dowdle was going to score last weekend. I did predict that.
But me being the logical Cowboy hater that I am, I've said for a long time that Rico Dowdle was a really good running back and that he would be the number one if Tony Pollard ever left. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you now have your number one running back in Dallas.
I'm excited.
Now they just have to have a healthy offensive line because they lost 2 guys last week, and I don't know either one of them is going to be back this week. And they're playing Detroit, and if they don't have the right line out there, Aiden Hutchinson is going to eat Dak alive.
Yeah, we thought TJ Watt was going to have eaten them alive too, and we still lost.
Well, and TJ Watt was all over Dak. The Steelers did not take advantage of mistakes.
I did not see is Hesberg out this week.
I don't believe so.
I know I saw him going to the locker room, but I don't have him on any of my fantasy IDPs, so I did not catch a glimpse. Sorry,
Let me look.
I got 6 fantasy teams, so it's really hard for me to keep an eye
Oh no,
on.
I understand. Herbig's out.
So is
He
Kelly
is
Holcomb,
out.
is
He's
Holcomb,
out with a hamstring.
is Holcomb coming back soon?
Uh, Not that I'm seeing.
So we might be actually in trouble on that left side.
I just the one that I think has really hurt us. The one injury that really I think's hurt us the most is Highsmith. But man, I'm just looking at this depth chart.
It's not pretty.
The one thing I wish they would get, I wish Warren would get healthy again. Because Cordero Patterson's out again this week. So you're going to
They love
have Najee and you're going to have Shampkin
they love
because
this
Warren's
champ.
listed as doubtful.
They love this champion kid out of Harvard, right?
Yeah.
I never even heard of the guy. I thought they would have went with the Georgia guy.
Well, Georgia guy's not even on the depth chart.
He's from the practice squad.
But I mean,
They drafted him.
Oh. And by the way, how good of a tight end is Connor Hayward turning into?
He did have some key drops though this weekend.
Well, the one drop he dove for, and when he hit the ground, he lost it.
He still lost it.
Yeah, but 90% of the guys in the league, receiver or tight end, drop that ball.
They're gonna make Connor Hayward look good because his brother's on the team.
I don't think that's the case. I think he's looking good because he actually is pretty good.
I'm not. I like that he's a good athlete, but I'm not sold on him. I'm not sold.
I mean, I'm not starting him over Freiermuth. Trust me.
And that's something I'll never do. But I'm just saying, like, it just seems like they try to favor him because his brother is on defense. That's just the way I feel.
Yeah. I don't know, but I mean, when I look at this team, I mean, it's kind of the same situation we were talking about with the Rangers, with the Texas Rangers. The starting lineup is fine. Once you get past the starting lineup, you go, "What is this?"
We're at. That's where we're at.
Outside of Miles Killebrew, there is no depth in that defensive backfield. And with the linebacking core, now that Herbig is hurt and Holcomb is hurt, and Matakevich hasn't seen the light of day all season, you go past Watt, Queen, and Roberts, you got Peyton Wilson, Jeremiah Moon, and Mark Robinson. Does that scare anybody? No. Cam and Ogunjobi and Benton on the front line, no problem.
Yeah,
Montrevious Adams can play.
Patrick Queen really got to pick it up because he's not showing that contract money at all.
What I'm saying is, you get past that starting lineup, it's a big drop. A big drop.
Kind of a shit show.
So,
but like I was saying last night, I believe Omar Khan gave Tomlin all his weapons, everything he wanted, and said, "Do what you can." And I really believe that if he fails, I believe Tomlin's out.
Well,
I just feel that Omar Khan is that kind of person.
I just can't believe
you're going to tell me it comes down to the Rooneys, but the Rooneys got to see this. The Rooneys got to be tired of losing.
But they're not losing.
Rich, we're losing.
This is where the difference in Steelers culture is compared to everybody else.
We're losing.
10-7 to the Steelers is a losing season. That's just like 11-1 to Alabama is a losing season.
a losing season. They don't get talked about. They talk about firing the coach. They talk about throwing down. They talk about burning cities down.
Right, which makes no sense because 80% of the other teams in the league would give their eye teeth to have anything close to what the Steelers have had for the last 20 years.
Don't care. We don't have that coach that can get to the top anymore, Rich.
Is it that we don't have the coach or that we don't have the players?
He's so content with just being over 500 for the record for himself. It's horrible.
I think
It's horrible, Rich.
since Ben,
It's
yeah,
horrible. And I know you're never, ever going to agree. And I'm about to bring on people I delivered to explain themselves that how bad they want this coach gone because they're tired of not playing deep in February. They're tired of it.
okay,
And there's
okay,
so
but
many,
again,
there's so
I could see your point if they were winning 7 games a year or if
it
they were
doesn't
winning 6 games a year. But
doesn't
they're
matter.
winning 9, 10, 11 games a year.
Turn the city into okay. It's just okay to win during the regular season. And who cares about playoffs? It's
If
so
they were winning 6 or 7 games a year, they'd be changing coaches like they change socks,
well, it'd be
which
nice.
doesn't do you any good either.
Right, but let's bring in a new coach. We need new blood. We need new blood.
Okay, here would be my magical question because I want to hear this one. Who you
Sure.
going to bring in that's better?
At this point, does it really matter? Rich,
Yes,
we just need new blood.
doesn't
Okay,
matter.
here's my question.
If you brought Josh McDaniels into the Steelers, we're going to
Here's
go
my
2 and
question
15.
right back. We're
Huh?
talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
Stable. Okay? So how many coaches might want to jump out of their shit and be like, I can have stability here? There might be coaches that get out of there just to come here. And I seriously think if they got rid of Tomlin, I think coaches would be like, okay, I have young
What
Justin
winning
Fields.
coaches? What winning coaches in the NFL right now would leave to take the Steelers job? Leave where they're at to take the Steelers job. McDermott wouldn't.
I
Reed
wouldn't
definitely wouldn't.
think he'd leave New or Buffalo. I almost said New York. Well, they're in New York, but Buffalo.
You think McDermott would leave Buffalo?
No, I don't. He has a great gig there. He's not being fired.
Okay. Shanahan's not leaving.
No,
LaFleur's not leaving.
no.
McCarthy ain't leaving. And
Well, yeah,
McCarthy's a Pittsburgh guy.
right. But McCarthy also got a big win against Pittsburgh, so the city of Dallas probably loves him again.
This week.
Right. But I think if he got fired, I think McCarthy would be. I think he'd be number one on the list.
McCarthy is washed.
Maybe it's Bill Belichick's job.
No.
Leave him out for a year, bring him in here, let him bang on.
No.
Let him do whatever he's doing outside of the workplace.
No.
Why would you hate?
The only thing worse than that would be if they brought in Brady to play quarterback.
That would be funny though.
I would consider changing my allegiance. After 53 years, I would consider changing my allegiance.
That would be funny.
No and no.
But I just don't know how you're so gun ho on Mr. Tomlin. I don't get it. What does
It's
he
not
bring?
that I'm gung ho on Tomlin.
What does he
My
bring?
big thing is, what has he done to deserve to be fired?
He's 1-8 in the playoffs in the last 12, 14, 15 years. 14 years.
10 years.
14, Rich. We've lost every game except for one since the Green Bay game in 2010. We've won one playoff game in 14 years, Rich.
Okay.
That's not good. That's not good from a city of champions.
I understand this. And you
That's
go
not
through
good.
stretches.
But
This
you
is
shouldn't go
not the
through.
80s. This
You
is
shouldn't
not
go
the
through.
80s Steelers, remember?
Go
The
through a
80s
14-year
Steelers
stretch
couldn't
if
win
you
8
don't win.
games.
If you shouldn't go through a 14-year stretch on a team that's highly classified as one of the only 6 team winners of the Super Bowl. You shouldn't go through this stretch.
You're going through a stretch where you have not had a losing season in 14 years. In 18 years.
Right, and it's brought us nothing.
So
After
you would rather have been 6-11, 5-12?
we could have had Jalen Hurts. We could have had Josh Allen. A lower draft pick could have gotten us a better quarterback. Just like
Would you still have Tomlin as a head coach?
I guess I'm going to go with the famous saying, like John Cena said. Like Ben was still here because no one was behind him to get the job done.
Okay.
But like, I mean, look, Philly got Jalen Hurts, filling after winning.
And how
Just
many
saying,
Super Bowls has Hurts? How many Super Bowls has Hurts won?
like I'm just saying, Rich. Like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this guy. I'm not. I haven't been a fan
I
since
know.
2017. I'm sick of the crescendos. I'm sick of the sayings. You get nothing. You get no answers out of him. It's a typical one of the party sides.
All I know is this: I would much rather win and make the playoffs every year, or make the playoffs every other year, but be a team that wins 10 or 11 games every year, than go 5-12, draft somebody that you might get to hit on it. Draft yourself a quarterback that you might get to hit, change coaches 3 times before you get to that Super Bowl, and then flame out.
Look, if the Bears would have done what they've done for Caleb Williams, Justin Fields would be a really, really good quarterback. And I wouldn't have to watch this Caleb Williams bullshit.
Caleb Williams is not that good of a quarterback. I'm
He's
telling
getting
you
better.
this now. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again.
He's getting better with the talent around him, and that's the only reason why. If the Bears would have brought all this shit in for Justin Fields, he'd still be there.
Okay. Let's look at this for a minute.
Okay.
The last 2 games, they have beaten who? The
He still
Rams and the Panthers.
threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. DJ Moore.
Congratulations.
I'm just saying, Rich. I'm just saying, if the Bears would have brought all this talent in for Justin Fields, like they should have, why? I don't know. And like obviously you see it. You know it's unfair to Justin Fields that he got kicked out, and then they bring in all this talent.
Well, no, what I think was unfair to Justin Fields is that in the first 3 years of his career, he had 3 different offensive coordinators.
And no one to
That's
throw.
what was unfair. But
No one.
why? They changed coordinators. Why? This goes back to your theory. Why did they change coordinators and why did they change coaches? Because they weren't winning any games. So we're going to change coaches. Okay, fine. Last I looked, I have never seen a coach make a sack, block a defender, or catch a pass. It's the guys on the field that make the difference. The coach just steers the ship. If he would have been drafted by the Steelers when the year he got drafted by Chicago, right now, you would be talking about Justin Fields in the same breath as Tua, and Allen and these other guys and Burrow and all these other guys.
I'm just saying though, like Rich, you obviously see it's not fair what they did.
No, it's not.
They left Justin
It's not
Fields
fair
out.
to any rookie. It's not fair to any rookie.
I don't know. I'm just not happy. Like not going deeper in the playoffs. It's what I'm accustomed to.
Okay, here's where I guess the big question comes in. Would you be happier not making the playoffs at all and having this string of high draft picks and changing coaches every time you turn around and never making the playoffs, or doing what we're doing now?
I think the other way around. At least then that way, I do.
So you'd rather be the Carolina Panthers than what we're doing right now?
I can't be excited about losing football in the playoffs. I can't be excited about this. Like when Steelers make the playoffs, I go, we're done. Like there's no excitement.
Okay. But you got there.
As you do. It doesn't.
You walk into this, you say you walk into the playoffs and go, okay, we're going to lose. Carolina Panther fans walk into the season going, we ain't going anywhere.
That's their
What pick in the top 5 are we going to have this year? Because they know they're going to suck out loud. They're probably going to change their coach in the next 2 years,
that, Rick.
and it's just going to be a vicious cycle.
You expect that from that franchise?
Huh?
You're expecting just playoffs and that's it from the Steelers? No, I expect championship.
I expect the team to make the postseason. You're not going to make okay, in this day and age, making the Super Bowl every year or being in the AFC Championship game every year doesn't happen all the time. It just doesn't. The Kansas City Chiefs have been an anomaly the last 4 or 5 years. The Steelers don't have anywhere near the personnel. I don't give 3 craps who coaches that team, whether it's Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, or Mike McCarthy or Kyle Shanahan. With the talent the Kansas City Chiefs have, they're going to do great things, right or wrong.
I'm just saying, Rich. I'm just tired of it. And I'm allowed to be. Like, there's no excitement anymore. Like, I love my team, but, like, I don't get excited. I fell asleep in my fucking chair on Sunday Night Football. And I woke up and we're losing. I fell asleep, Rich. That's how bored I was. And I don't know why.
Am I denying the fact that the strength of this team the last couple of years has been their defense? No. I'm not denying that. It's pretty much, well, since Ben left, the strength of this team has been their defense. What has won them games for the most part has been their defense. No doubt.
Defense is our thing.
But when you had Ben and Bell and AB and Hines and all those guys,
you can name players off the 70 teams, and you can name players off of the 05 and the 08 team. You can name defensive players because that's what won us. And Seattle fans will say it was a cheap push-up by Jeremy Stevens that got called. I think they still get a little frustrated about that, but it was clearly a push-up on Ike Taylor.
but you also had a much better talent base on the offensive side of the ball. Right now, on the offensive side of the ball, this team. Let's just for research purposes, okay?
Not a number one.
Do what now?
With no casting support, George Pickens is not a number one.
No, I never said he was.
We're seeing it.
No, I said during the preseason we had to get another guy in here, whether it was Brandon Ayuk or whoever. We had to get another guy in here.
I'd seen news on the Devontae Adams trade, and they said the Steelers said they were trying to get this done before the end of the weekend.
Yeah.
Before the game.
Remember what I said? Remember what I said in open mic last night, and I will bet you it comes true. Devontae Adams gets traded, and he plays the following Sunday.
Well, we'll
That
see.
hamstring all of a sudden is going to be healthy.
I agree, but the Steelers said they want to get a deal done before the weekend. But
Okay.
apparently the Raiders are not budging on this.
The last deal that I saw, which I would make in 2.1 seconds, was Pittsburgh sending Russ and a 3 to Oakland for Adams and a 6.
So we talk about Russ Wilson being in practice this week.
He's not doing anything.
Tomlin has not ruled him out as the starter yet.
Uh-huh.
I did the same thing, Rich, but I'm just telling you what I read. I'm not.
I know, I read the same thing. But what I'm saying is, when you sit there and you look at this team, the team is in better shape with number 2 behind center than Russ Wilson.
I agree. But is Aiden O'Connell going to ball out this weekend? The no-name receivers.
No.
Well, I mean, remember last year's game turned into a shootout, and if it wasn't for Calvin Austin catching that bomb down the center of the field, we would have lost.
Yeah. The big thing that I know about this particular defense, especially, that defensive backfield is a lot better because everybody's healthy. And you got an extra year of experience on Joey Porter. Porter is going to turn into a shutdown guy. If he's not there already, he's going to turn into a shutdown guy. You have a healthy Minkah Fitzpatrick back there, which makes gobs of difference. I don't care. Minkah Fitzpatrick, and I know this is going to really be a hot sports take on this one. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick may be as valuable to this defense as TJ Watt.
Should I go get his jersey?
But I really do. I think Minkah may be as valuable as TJ Watt. Because think about what that secondary is like when he's not there. That secondary is rough. Yeah. When they made that trade, I was jumping up.
Oh, me too. I was very excited. There it is.
Yeah.
I have way too
I
many.
was jumping up, man. I was so excited.
Did I mention I ordered a Desmond Reed jersey for the game?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. I got my buddy who I know is not watching a surprise jersey too. He bought the ticket, so I was like, I'm going to get him a jersey.
Gotcha. I think the biggest thing that the Steelers are going to have to do to the offense of the Raiders is somehow, whether it's with Minkah or whoever, is slow down Brock Bowers. If they can limit Brock Bowers, Porter can shut down Myers. I don't have any issue with that. If Minkah or whoever can shut down Bowers, then the Raiders are going to be in trouble.
Myers has always killed us.
Yeah, but he hasn't had Porter on. The Steelers haven't put a corner like Porter on him.
Looking at the past, Myers has always hurt us.
No matter what, but again,
always hurt us.
Yeah, but
unfortunately, I'm just going off of facts. He's always hurt us.
No, and you're right, but I think it's a different scenario this time because of who's going to be covering it.
We'll see.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in that secondary, especially Fitzpatrick and Porter.
I have Fitzpatrick on my IDP, so my secondary is pretty rough. I love it. It's got Cal Hamilton, Hufanga, and Fitzpatrick.
Wow. Cal Hamilton's a good ball player, though.
And Hufanga just got cleared to play this weekend finally. So do the Niners pick up Shala? Do they sign him back? Right?
I don't know.
Like that defense is pretty stout.
Because there's there's a couple other questions that go with that. Would he go back? Do they want him back?
Didn't leave on bad terms, Rich. I mean, normally when people get offered a head coaching position, it's a huge promotion, and most people are not upset by this.
Right.
You know, you never
Man,
blame
I
a guy
don't
for
see
his
it.
answer. Now, if he leaves somewhere and takes the same position, I think that's when they're not welcomed back as well.
Right.
Like if Dan Quinn didn't, like if Dan Quinn obviously he left the Cowboys and he went to the Redskins, or I mean the Commanders, whatever we're calling them. But
Right.
like if he would have went to the Commanders and took a defensive coordinator job, I think the Cowboy fans would have the right to be more pissed off.
Sure.
But he went and took a promotion instead of just the same job. I think that plays
But
into a huge part of the fan base.
I think Salah's going to end up somewhere else, though.
Where? Is he gonna take McDaniel's spot in Miami?
I was thinking, well, no. I see him going somewhere as a coordinator.
As a coordinator, I see him going
Uh,
back. I see him going back to his
I
buddy.
could, but see, I could see him going to Miami as a defensive coordinator.
I don't know
Um,
the relationship between McDaniel's and him. I know they're both from the same tree, but I don't
mhm.
know their relationship, so I can't comment on
See, I heard, and this is another guy that I firmly believe is part of this whole Peter principle thing. Because I've heard one of the front runners to take the Jets' job is Steve Spagnuolo,
it. Really, and he's a defensive coordinator.
who has been a head coach and wasn't good, is a great defensive coordinator, not a good head coach.
But that was
Um,
Andy Reid. But if he had learned something, just like Quinn did. I mean, McCarthy isn't a great coach, but he is a really good coach.
yeah, but all I'm thinking is if Spagnuolo takes that job, does Saleh go to Kansas City?
Maybe. You know the funny thing is we haven't heard anything about Eric Bieniemy either. He went silent once
No,
he left Kansas City.
he's in Washington.
Right, and he's
He's
quiet.
the OC in Washington. Sure.
No one talks about him. I think that might have been like their best move because he knew what it was like to have a quarterback that can run and throw the ball, and he knew how to draw up plays for Jaden Daniels, and I thought that was one of the best moves ever.
Sure, because you bring in a defensive-minded head coach in Dan Quinn. I'm sure Quinn basically walked up to Bieniemy and said, "The offense is yours. I'm going to the defensive room," and turned around and walked away. Um, he had some guys to start with. You know, he had McLaurin, he had Jordan Reed. You know, and then he turns around and they bring in Austin Eckler, who to me is still very good running back when he's healthy. And you have a guy like Jaden Daniels, who I think it's safe to say he has exceeded everybody's expectations. I knew he was going to be good. I didn't realize he was going to be this good. He reminds me a lot of Robert Griffin. I've said this before that
I
I think he reminds me a ton of Robert Griffin III.
I had him going second in our mock draft for driving to the top, and I had him going to the Commanders, and I thought that was the best fit for him. And
Yeah.
obviously, it's working out in everyone's favor there. And I hate to say it, but maybe Dylan was right when he said the Commanders were going to win the fucking division. We all
The
laughed.
way it's well, I didn't laugh simply because I figured that division was going to be a toss up and Washington had made the most improvements.
Oh, they did. They
Um,
certainly did, Rich.
Dallas did nothing to improve. Philly did very little. The Giants did some, but they were in such a deep hole that getting Malik Neighbors wasn't going to make enough to, get them over the top.
Bet
Washington was as viable a choice as anybody.
the Giants.
The scary part is his other prediction. And I realized the last couple of years they started out slow and came back and went to the Super Bowl and all that. San Francisco's in trouble. If they don't start winning, they're going to be in big trouble. Remember, he had them not making the playoffs.
Another fourth quarter 10-point lead blown.
That defense is not as
Well, they get Hufanga back.
strong as it was.
They get Hufanga back, so that should be a huge lift.
I mean, San Francisco's got a pretty stout schedule coming up too. I know they've got Dallas in there. They got Seattle tomorrow night. Seattle tomorrow night on the road. Then they have the Chiefs on the 20th, the Cowboys on the 27th, at Tampa November 10th, and then Seattle on the 17th. That's a tough little stretch right there. I mean, they're 2-3 right now. If they go 2-3 in that, and they're 4-6 going into the last 7 games, which aren't a walk in the park either.
No games right now are a walk in the park for them right now, unfortunately.
Do what?
That division's a lot more tougher than we thought, I think.
What, the NFC West?
You got James Conner, Kyler Murray, and Marvin Harrison who's starting to come together. That division's a lot more tougher than we thought.
A lot of people forget about Trey McBride too in Arizona. He's really good. Seattle, I mean, they've got a two-headed monster in the backfield with Walker and Charbonnet. Geno Smith does just enough. He is doing the exact thing the Saints wanted Jameis Winston to do, and he wouldn't do it. Just don't screw it up. And Geno puts up decent numbers, but you've got Metcalf, you got Lockett, you got Smith and Jigba. You got the 2 running backs. Their defense is better than what it was last year. Division.
I just can't believe how long it took Geno Smith to fully understand the NFL.
Yeah, it did take him a while. But where did he start out? Think about it where did he start out? With the Jets, where they have a rotating door of coaches.
West Virginia.
He went from West Virginia. Yeah, but he played at West Virginia, but he went to the Jets, where they have a rotating door of coaches.
He's got probably a nice wall of jerseys. That's what we'll say.
I put more stock in the consistency of a coaching staff in a lot of cases than I do in the player. Because I firmly believe that the talent is there, or they wouldn't be in the NFL. It's just a matter of if the coach is able to bring out that talent. Case in point, Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell has brought out in Sam Darnold what everybody was expecting to see coming out of USC. Where did he go to start things off? The New York Football Jets. Once again, rotating door of coaches. He goes to Carolina, and it's like, okay, jump out of the frying pan into the fire. And then he goes to Minnesota, and O'Connell, I like O'Connell as a coach. If he wanted to come to Pittsburgh, okay, fine. I'll trade out Tomlin for O'Connell.
Don't forget about his in San Francisco.
And Darnold was in San Francisco. But you look at now, granted, Darnold has the best receiver on the planet right now at his disposal as well.
He's got a pretty good secondary slot too, Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
And now this weekend, he is getting a pretty good tight end returning too.
He is, but he's taking advantage of it, and he's playing the system that he needs to be in.
Right.
That's the other part of it too, and I've never understood this. Why teams draft quarterbacks that have no experience or no desire to play in their system? They played in a run and shoot style or a pro set style, whatever the heck you want to call it, offense in college. And then they want you to go into a traditional, 11 set in the NFL. huh? This guy's used to having 5 receivers and all this motion and all this other crap going on, and then you send him to a team that
Well,
plays 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
so you want to talk about that? How much did Eric Bieniemy have to change his playbook because you always hear they're running a LSU offense? I don't know if you listen to the what Redskins, like when they jump play
Yeah,
by play on the NFL Network or Sirius Radio, whatever they call it.
right. But I don't think he had to change it much at all.
Their announcers are always saying they're running a LSU based offense.
Right. But Andy Reid's offense in Kansas City is not that far off from an LSU offense.
Right,
I don't
right,
think
right.
he had to change it very much at all. But if he would have brought in Will Levis, it would have been monkey doing a math problem because Will Levis has no idea what to do with that type of offense. Jaden Daniels does,
Right.
because he played it in college. Will Levis would be looking around going, what do you want me to do? He learned how to speak Spanish. Now you want him to do German. It's not, you're doing two completely different things. That's where the problem, because, and then they're like, well, his rookie year, he really sucked. In his second year, well, no kidding. Because you put him in a system that he has no business being in.
Right.
Because he was the best at quarterback available, but he doesn't know your system from, a door.
I get it.
It's part of why Brock Purdy's worked out so well. He fell right into a system that was exactly what Iowa State's system was.
Rich, you were only giving me an hour. We're at 2 hours.
Yeah, we're hours gonna.
And I know you said you had stuff to do. I don't know. I guess getting up early, I guess you got to do a little extra work because of the hurricane.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got that to do. I got appointments tomorrow. I got all kind of different stuff going on for tomorrow and that kind of thing. So it's a busy next couple of days. It's been a busy week. It really has.
Nice long date day with the lady.
Date night tomorrow night. Yeah.
You guys gonna go watch?
Not quite sure. Probably. We'll at least watch the first part of it. Just depends where we go. And that usually gets decided somewhere between when we get in the truck and when we get there.
Nice. I think you should do a pinwheel tomorrow and just spin the wheel and you just go wherever it lands.
Yeah, see, that would not go over.
So you still
my wife has a frequent flyer card to I don't care.
That's the restaurant we need to come out with. I don't care.
Exactly.
Hey, we're going to I don't care because you wanted to go there.
Right. Where you want to go? I don't care. Okay, fine. And we end up there. I promise. And we laugh about it and that kind of stuff. And I tell her, they closed all the Texas locations of I don't care. Doesn't do me any good. So she has a couple of places that she really likes. I've got a couple of places I really like. There's a couple of places we both really like. So, we have a decent amount of variety there that it works out pretty good.
Listen, buddy, you're in Texas and you have like the biggest freaking steaks.
Oh, Texas Roadhouse is that's one that we both really enjoy. It's a favorite of both of ours. We also have a place called Rudy's Barbecue here that is the second best barbecue in town, the best chain barbecue in the state.
I'm fucking hungry for barbecue now. We don't have
Dude,
that up here, Rich. Okay, we got like Mission Barbecue, which is like 45 minutes from me. I don't have this shit. I'm jealous.
Dude, that's one thing about Pennsylvania that I
don't miss.
People ask me all the time, would you move back to Pittsburgh? No.
Food.
And that's one of the biggest reasons because I can't find barbecue worth of crap within like 200 miles.
Like if I go to Texas, if I go to like Longhorn or whatever, I'm getting the ribeye. I've turned into a ribeye fan when I go to steakhouse.
Here's the thing to think about. Okay, you remember Chi-Chi's?
Absolutely, I could go grab a menu. I have it downstairs. It's like
Chi-Chi's
freaking.
went out of business in Texas.
They went out of business here too. Don't worry.
No, I mean Chi-Chi's went out of business 20 years before it went out of business in Pennsylvania.
Really?
People in Pennsylvania think that's the greatest Mexican food in the world. It is not even in the same ballpark. It's Major League Baseball versus Little League, man.
So
Chi-Chi's is the biggest joke. And I just sit there and I'm going, oh my God, I'm getting a headache. I promise you, man. My wife, we both like this place, but this is my wife's like number one seed. It's a place called La Fiesta.
so
And
my cousin was going to Dallas or a little place outside of Dallas for a couple days for work, and he was leaving Sunday after the party. And I go, if you're gonna eat order dining, make sure you order a steak because they deliver steak. And he's like, what? I'm like, yes, they deliver steak. They bring it on a sizzling platter and they bring it straight to your room. It don't get no better than that.
that would work. But when you get an authentic
Wait,
Mexican
wait,
place,
wait. You're telling me you don't order steak at your house and have it delivered like from a restaurant? Like,
no, cook my own.
look, I didn't have a car, so when I heard this, I was really excited. All right,
But I
I was I was in
the
a hotel room.
I just the integrity of the steak going from the restaurant to the house is going to be shot. So I wouldn't. I'm not doing that.
I did it. Well, I mean, I was staying in in a hotel, so obviously I didn't have a car. So, but
Right.
like they
And I
brought
mean,
in
if the steak,
platter
that's a
ribs.
little different. If the steakhouse is in the hotel or like right next door to the hotel,
Oh no,
that's one thing.
this was like a delivery, pure delivery, and
Yeah,
it
I
came on
wouldn't.
a
I don't.
sizzling platter, and it was so delicious. I was so pumped to get like full steak delivered to my room. I was so excited. You have no idea.
Yeah, no barbecue. Yes, I wouldn't do Mexican either. I do fajitas. Fajitas is a whole different discussion. But to do like enchiladas or something like that, um, delivery, no, because they'll be all the integrity of the enchilada is going to be shot. The tortilla is going to be all funky, and yeah, no, it's just not going to work.
So when you don't have a car, you got to do what you got to do,
I get that, but I'd call HEB or Walmart, have them deliver me a couple of steaks, and I'd cook them myself.
I get it. I get it. I was just all excited though. Like it came on a sizzling platter, and it was a hot
Yeah,
platter.
no, hey,
I was
if
just
you
so
can get
excited.
it, go for it.
Oh, I was so excited. You have no idea. And I was in Dallas Fort Worth, so it was one of the steakhouses around wherever I was staying.
Yeah.
I was so
Well,
excited.
they've got some really good steakhouses in Dallas Fort Worth. They've got the smaller ones and they got the chain stuff, of course, like Outback and Roadhouse and that kind of deal.
When I was there,
They have
kind of
this one called Fogo de Chao that is it's a Brazilian steakhouse, and I'm trying to remember the exact name of it, but it's $40,
like
and
moved like across the whole state. Did you see this?
oh yeah, the hurricane is going straight across the state.
Right, right. But it looks like it's like the main part's like already spinning like towards Orlando right now.
Yeah, it is.
So I mean, it could be out by morning. Then we just
It
got to
made
worry.
landfall. It made landfall like 3 hours before it was supposed to.
We're up over a foot of rainfall in some areas already.
Yeah, but yeah, they had
Looks like Melbourne is under complete red right now, and that's on the Atlantic side, correct?
mhm.
I'm trying to read off my screen here, looking at Stephen Cropler do the weather.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, it made landfall like 3 hours before it was supposed to. It was supposed to have actual landfall like 1 in the morning Eastern time, and it did it. Well, actually 4 hours before because it did it at like 9.
So this thing was moving. Last I heard, it was moving at 17 miles an hour, and it was supposed to hit
Mhm.
3 hours. That means this thing probably moved at like 24, 25 miles an hour
Well, it picked up speed though.
coming through the hotter
When it
sun.
when it when it moved, when it changed direction a little bit, it picked up speed at the same time. So if I remember seeing it right, it was like 21, 22 mile an hour, like you were talking about, um, which gets it across quicker. But I mean, this whole thing is just,
They have
I
a
mean,
news
it's
they have a newscast. Oh my God, Tampa's underwater is bad.
yeah. I mean, I've been following either John's station, ABC 7 out of Fort Myers, or Fox Weather, and I
Watching
mean they've both been doing really good coverage and that of it. Uh,
Anyway, Rich, what is your prediction for the weekend? Because I'm obviously blessed you gave me an extra hour than what you said.
well,
And your
give
wife's
me the Steelers. Huh?
probably ready, your wife's probably ready to kill me.
Nah. I don't think so. Anyway, maybe.
Hey, honey, you ready to kill my co-host?
Give me the Steelers 62-10. No. Um, give me the Steelers. Um, 23-10.
I think the Steelers are gonna win this game, and it could be. I'm thinking 28-21. I'm thinking it's gonna be closer than you think. I just do. But then again, I also think we could also lose this game
Good.
because this is a underachieving team, and our great coach sometimes doesn't prepare well for these matchups. We've seen it in the past. We've seen it everywhere, and we end up getting beat, just like we did against the Patriots last year. Totally
Well, the thing that
unprepared.
I'm
Walked into Heinz Field and kicked their ass, and there were Patriots fans going, "Why are we winning this game?" And they were sitting next to Bears fans going, "Thank you." So
yeah.
I think if Tomlin's unprepared, we lose.
Well, and we're currently right on path of what I said that the Steelers were going to do the first half of the season.
I
They win these next three, which they should win all three of these next three: the Raiders, the Jets, and the Giants. They
and
should win all three.
we had
They
my two
win
losses.
those.
We
Yeah,
had
they
my two
win
losses.
those. We're set. Huh?
I said we were going to lose against Indy and Dallas, and then we were going to be 7-2 going into the break, and then the rest of
I
that
had it.
schedule, we're either going to
I,
be 8-9 or 9-8.
well, I had us going 7-2 through the first nine, and then Washington started doing what they're doing. So I kind of shifted it a little bit to six. I'm still saying 6-2 for the Commanders game. Can they beat the Commanders? Yeah. They're going to have to score a lot more than what they're doing, though, to do it. One thing that will help with the second half of the year, I think by the time the Steelers play Cleveland, they'll have given up. I think the Steelers mash Cleveland both games.
I do too.
Um,
I do too. But
and if they don't get things together in Cincinnati, they may give it up by the time the Steelers play them too.
like a team last week.
Huh?
They finally looked like a team last week.
I understand, but if they keep losing and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are looking at, okay, we're free agents at the end of the year. Why are we putting our bodies on the line for a team that is going absolutely nowhere, knowing that we're free agents next year?
I'm just saying they finally looked a lot better as a team last week.
They did, but
And
we're talking week
Chris
what?
Brown looked good. T. Higgins obviously 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase with a touchdown. They finally
Yeah.
looked like a team, Rich, and it kind of scared me a little bit.
No, they did. They really did. But we get the Bengals coming out of the bye. That's going to be week
Never
12.
an easy game. That's never an easy
Week
game.
No, but what I'm saying is, if by that point they're like 4-7 or something like that, they're not making the playoffs. And you never know if those receivers pack it in. I don't care how good Burrow is; he ain't gonna have any place to go.
Right.
So I mean, I don't think when we first looked at this, we looked at every one of those games being just diabolical games. I don't think they are anymore. I think there's 4 very winnable games,
I
and
will.
then maybe even 1 or more winnable games in that group.
I don't think Cincinnati is going to walk away. I don't think they're going to give up.
I hope they don't.
I just
But
don't.
if they're 6-2 going into Washington, and then they can go 4-5 in those last 9, that gives them 10 wins. Should get them in the playoffs.
Like I said, this could be a trap game right now. This is one of those games on my schedule. I know I wrote win but trap.
And I honestly believe that they win one of those 3 games in that 10-game stretch. And it might actually be Christmas Day.
We'll see.
I think they win one of those 3. I don't think they get swept on those 3.
It's a long stretch where we got Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, then Bengals.
Mm-hmm. At Eagles, at Ravens, Chiefs at home.
It's going to be
Part of the reason I'm thinking the Chiefs, they are liable to have home field wrapped up by then.
We'll see. We didn't. Yeah, that's the one thing we didn't do is go through our division. We didn't go through all that as a crew.
Yeah, we did. Picking our division winners and all that?
I meant like I used to do overall record, like against like the whole thing through,
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, we didn't do that.
and that took hours. That was like drawing up the damn MLB schedule. And
Yeah. I've done that. I've done the whole thing figuring the records for everybody and all. I've done that before.
it's crazy how you do that. I mean, it's just long,
Oh, yeah.
very long.
It
But
definitely is.
I feel it's a win, but possible trap game. Rich thinks we're gonna win. And Rich, um, once again, how do people get a hold of you? I'm not gonna hold your wife to get angry at me because we're at 2 hours right now.
You hit me up on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it this week at Go Big Go Home Pod, or on Facebook under my name, Rich Richardson. And appreciate everybody listening, and definitely look forward to carrying on conversations with y'all.
Absolutely. You can get me at Sports Talking It. Good thing Dylan fixed it last week because I didn't realize I had Sports Talking It instead of the K. I had left out the K and I didn't catch it. You guys are assholes. No one told me. No one told me. I never caught
For a
it.
little while there, for a little while, you had Talking Sports It.
It's Sports Talking It. but Dylan's like, are you sports talking it or are you sports talking it? And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't catch it. But anyway, actually, you can find us on Driving to the Top. You can find us on Twitch, obviously, as Dark Ages did tonight. Thank you for your comments, sir. Um, everyone's always welcome to come to the YouTube channel. Throw in your comments. We'll answer them. And yeah, that's all we got for the night, guys. Thank you, and have a good night.